What's up, dedicated Dragon Ball denizens? I'm Ryan, and we're here for another episode of the Hawks Dragon Ball Nest. I'm real excited to this time. It feels like forever since I have done a deck profile because I didn't do a ton of them during the SB01 era, but here we are. We've got our first one of the new era, and I'm really excited for this one. This is my Golden Frieza deck profile. Frieza is my favorite villain from Dragon Ball, so always excited to be able to get into some new Frieza decks. And honestly, after some testing, this deck has a lot more legs than I thought it would have. So let's get into it, and we'll go from there. I'm going to get into each card in the deck, why I included it. We'll talk about the strengths, weaknesses, and the strategy on how to play the deck, and then we'll think of some other cards to consider swapping into the deck. Here we are. The deck list is up on the left-hand side, and another nice little condensed deck list. I really like these when I could just get a lot of the same cards in there. This is a deck where I really value consistency in, so we're going 4 of most of our big cards. We do have a couple 3 of some really important cards too, but that's all right. All right, so here we are. Frieza himself on the front side. It's Frieza Clan, Frieza's army. Basically, you're on the front side, 15k, draw 1 on attack, and then flip at 4. So let's see on the backside what it looks like. Then on the backside, we're 20k normally there. When attacking, draw a card, and then end of turn. So this is where it's got a really cool ability that goes with Frieza. Golden Frieza specifically, right? End of turn for 1 energy, reveal the top card of your life. If the revealed card is a battle card with a cost of 6 or less and Frieza Clan in its special traits, you may play it. So not bad at all. This kind of goes with Frieza being that kind of limited time to live, and attack. So there's some good and bad to it. Obviously, you're able to play up to a 6 cost really early. I mean, I actually played yesterday. I was playing against a deck that really wanted to aggro me. I was able to play Golden Frieza 6 cost on turn 2. Like that's insane, right? So that's really crazy. The downside of this is obviously, every time you use that ability and play out the card, then you're going to be taking a life. So there's only 1 card in the deck that I'm sure anybody who's interested in the Golden Frieza is going to be already knows about, the Mecha Frieza King Cold that does add 1 to life. But other than that, at this point in time, no other cards are going to be able to add to your life. So it is. So one thing to note, though, is that it's reveal the top card of your life, and you may play it. So on my end, there have been times when I'm unable to really do that shift, right? I'm unable to get that card in hand to life in order to stack my life. So you can actually, if you do have that energy and you're not going to use it for anything else, pay the 1, reveal the card. If it's a card you want to play, go ahead. If not, you don't have to play it. Just turn that card right over, put it back to life. So that's important to know for those that are just playing physical. I didn't really think of it. I actually thought personally that you had to play it. Sometimes Fusion World players aren't good at reading, but notice the may play it means that you don't have to play it. You reveal it. Obviously your opponent also sees that card too, so thinking about that, like now if they want to go for game or something, let's say you're already at 3 life and it's a 0 combo, then they know that now they can go in. So obviously your opponent sees it, you see it, and then you decide if you want to play it. Okay, so let's get into the battle cards here, and we've got some good ones. So this card, the Mecha Frieza, 1 cost, came out in FB05. Frieza and Cooler got a little bit of support during that set, which was kind of fun. So this one's 1 cost, 5k, 5k. Switch this card to rest mode. Look at 3 cards from the top of your deck. Reveal a Frieza Clan. Place the rest at the bottom in any Frieza Clan, which now that we have the Cooler super combo as a Frieza Clan, pretty much any card in this entire deck. In fact, I think the way I have this deck built currently, there's every single card is Frieza Clan in this deck, so there's obviously no way to whiff on it. And being able to search for super combos is super cool. A lot of people hate searchers because of that, but at the same time, I have had to make a decision to bottom deck a super combo still because I need something now. So that's something to think about too. All right, Next up, we've got, this one's a new Frieza. On play, if your leader has Frieza in its card name and this card's in active mode, add a card from life to hand, then add a card from hand to life. This one's a really good card, like kind of mid to late game if you don't, to play for one when you want to stack that life, add from life to hand, hand to life. But actually, this is my ideal turn 1 play because you don't have to add back to life. So turn 1, we are already starting to self-awaken. This card is super good for this deck. When I first saw it, I was like, there's other cards to stack life, but then you got to think about self-awakening. The faster you get yourself down to 4 life and can play out either that secret rare 6-cost Frieza or even sometimes, depending on where we're at, the 5-cost Frieza as well. Just really good stuff there. Okay, and then of course we've got the tried and true. Excuse me. We've got the old school starter deck Frieza, the 10k, 10k 1 cost of choosing a card and switching to rest mode. This one's obviously a 4 of in any pretty much any yellow deck as it is, but really goes with Frieza. You're able to rest your opponent's card, stall their awakening if you don't get the other one, or depending on the matchup, you may want to play this over the other 1 cost. But yeah, something to think about too is just to go back to this guy real quick. In my opinion, he's a solid early game play, but depending on the matchup, I'm not going to activate his main to search the turn I play him out if I'm not awakened, because I want my opponent to attack into me. This is basically can kind of backfire on you if you're not careful and you want to use this guy turn 1. Your opponent now, their leader is just able to attack into this guy and stall out your awakening. So very important to think about. Sometimes I take a risk. You know, if I don't have any other turn 1 play, I'm just going to play him out, cross my fingers that my opponent doesn't have any way to remove, which depending on the matchup they won't. Like for example, Orange Piccolo is usually one that you're safe to play it out in. I think a lot of times the Black Shenrons, even Omega Shenron is rarely going to have a turn 1 on you. Once you get to turn 2, we start having some more risks, but you know, you can think about if you want to use them from there. So just important to note there. All right, now let's get into the 2 costs. Another really good card. I talked about it in my my color overviews and breakdowns. A lot of colors this time got a card basically similar to this. These 2-cost searchers are becoming a thing. 10k combo, 5k power. On play, if your leader has Frieza Clan, you can add a card from life to hand, and then we're able to look at top 4 cards. So 4 is pretty good. Reveal a 5 or less in Frieza Clan, add to hand. This one can be a double-edged sword, as he's holding a sword, because it does only go to 5, so you may be bottom decking a super combo or a 6-cost Frieza. But looking at the top 4 is pretty good, and you're able to really start searching for these cards that you need there. So this one is my ideal turn 2 play for the most part. However, this guy I also really like as a 20k. Okay, so this one's kind of similar to the other Frieza, the one everybody knows about, still his second form, 20k, 5k combo, and he has a when attacking thing. But his is add 1 card from life to hand, and then 1 card up to 1 card from hand to life. So this guy's going to help you on that. So this is a guy that sometimes, if I don't have the King Cold or I don't think my opponent has removal, then I may just play this guy out, let him chill, to help me be able to awaken on turn 3 and stack to life. So it gives me some options, you know. So because you know, sometimes you're going to have to do that last awakening, and then you need another card to add from hand to life. So this guy can kind of act as either of the ones that we need on our turn 3. So it really helps us out there. Okay, then I've got 2 of these guys in there. Just 2. I think it's a good card for resting. It's another good card for adding to life. So we threw in 2 of these bad boys in there. Very familiar with this one. It's an old school card. Add a card from hand to life, so Self-Awakener, and then rest a 3 or less. All right, now we are getting into, I don't have any 3 costs in this deck. You know, to me, I'm pretty much my turn 3 play is going to be one of these, is basically a 2 cost and a 1 cost, or that's why I like this guy out there. to just play a 2 cost and then be able to use leader skill is even better. So let's go. Now this one is one that is probably the card. I've basically got 2 slots in this deck right now that I'm still toying with a little bit. So I've got this King Cold as 1. And the reason being, I'm just going to head over to our 5 cost right now first, is because we are playing the Mecha Frieza. This one's one I wasn't quite sure if he was going to fit in this deck, but I mean, this is an aggro deck, so why not get more aggro? So this one is on play up to 1 King Cold with a cost of 4 from your hand, right? 25k, and the 10k combo also really kind of leans me over to getting 4 of these guys. So what that means is we're usually going to be playing this guy, but I need some more targets because sometimes I don't have him. Sometimes I've had to do stuff. So it does help us. And I actually really like this. 1 blocking once per turn. Switch this card to active mode. So it's kind of cool to play this guy out. We can go ahead and block with this guy. Usually your opponent is going to be hitting with that leader swing first. And so sometimes I'm not sure if I want to block or not because I don't know what else they're playing. So this kind of helps me out here where I can just block that leader swing. He's back to active mode, and then let's start seeing what they're doing with the rest of their hand. So it's nice. It's not a crazy blocker with the 25k, but it'll do. It'll do. Okay. Then of course we've got 4 of these King Colds. It's our first 0 combo of the deck, but just such a good card to pair up with the Mecha Frieza, or just on his own to play out all of these other 4 costs. So we could play any Frieza clan on play, as long as we have 3 or more cards with Frieza clan among your leader and battle cards. So also just remember, this is why I like kind of spamming these first cards out, is you need, if you're going to play this on turn 4 or turn 3 in a marker, sorry, not this one, but yeah, that is this one, you need to have at least 1 other Frieza card clan in your battle area. Don't do like I've seen some mirrors do, where they forget about this. Your leader counts, this card counts, you need one other Frieza clan card. So also make sure that if you're comboing up to defend, that you need to be careful with your board and not combo something away that's there. It's also why I like spamming these guys, because your opponent may get rid of 1 or 2 of them. But if you could get 3 of these guys on board between turns 1 and 3, 3 to 4, they're usually not able to get rid of all of them, and you're able to just jump right into this guy. Now this card, it's kind of crazy. We just have so many good 4 costs, and actually, in my opinion, this one's the second best 4 cost that we can play after the Meta-Cooler that we'll talk about in a minute. This card is really good, a little bit underrated, especially kind of later game when our hand size is getting down. So this is a 4 cost 30k attack, so one of the stronger cards of the deck actually. In 5k combos, so it's nice that we get a little combo in there. On play, we're able to switch any card in our opponent's battle area to rest mode, so nice tech there. And then when attacking, if your leader has Frieza clan, draw a card. So this one's really nice if we don't need to use leader ability, maybe we don't have the cards we need to use it, whatever. Look, this guy we can get, and when attacking, draw a card, and if you could get him to stick on the board, then we've got a draw engine in there every turn. So this guy's really nice. I'm actually liking him more and more the more I'm playing him. I do have him at 3. 4 would be nice. I just can't figure out how to get him up to 4, and also just don't play him enough to get him to 4 because of this guy. Now this card is ridiculous. This card makes this deck so good because he basically does everything that we need in an aggro deck in one. So he's a 4 cost 25k 5k combo, and this one's great. On play, add 1 card from life to hand, and then add up to 1 card from hand to life, then switch 1 energy to active mode. So what this means is that on turn 4, as long as we are already awakened, we are able to use our leader skill while playing this guy out for 4, because we're doing the life swap, and then we've switched an energy in active mode that can be used for leader skill. And then when attacking, also just as well. Choose a rest mode battle card and it can't switch to active mode next turn. This is just crazy. Like, if you can keep this guy alive or just keep playing out other Meta-Coolers, we're able to just lock down our opponent's board. If our opponent can't deal with this guy and they've got somebody on board and then you get a second one out, it can just get really crazy. Like, I'm able to a lot of times just start locking down Omega Shenrons if I can keep this guy alive and throw another one out. And we're unresting an energy a turn. So once we get to turn 5 and we're doing this, we can not only use leader skill if we need, but then we can start playing out other cards to start helping us recover, like this guy. One of my favorite plays turn 5 if I don't have the Mecha Frieza is throwing this bad boy out there, and then now we're gaining cards back in hand, and now my opponent has to deal with this guy. They've got to attack into it, and thinking about how they're going to deal with Meta-Cooler. Like, this board can get pretty crazy. So we've already talked about him as our 5 cost. Now we've got this card, which I've started to warm up to a little bit more than I did initially. I'm still only playing it as a 2 of because it's a little bit situational. There are situations where it's much better to play this card than the 6 cost Golden Frieza Secret Rare for a few reasons. Now it's a blocker. You know, that's good and bad. Too. I mean, a lot of times I've left this guy up and just don't attack because a 35k blocker is no joke. And unless we're playing yellow, there's usually not a ton of ways to deal with this card. Yellow can rest him and get around the block. Obviously, Omega Shenron's able to use whatever Thunder card to make us not activate blockers. And honestly, like, if they want to do that, I don't really care. But on play, choose up to one of opponent's rest mode battle cards, can't switch to active mode, and one of their energy. So this is my favorite play to do on turn 4 and just stall out the Omega Shenron chain. We can also, if we're playing this quick enough, stall out the Cell chain as well against Cell. So this is a card, Boo as well. If we're playing either of the Boos on, if you're playing this out turn 4, now that they're at 4 energy. 5 is kind of the magic number for a lot of players, where now we've just gotten them nothing to do on turn 4. I mean, they can do stuff, but not as good stuff. So this card's really nice, and then he's not that hard to defend. And what we're doing usually is playing him from life as well. So you would basically use this guy over the Golden Frieza to get down to 3 and then start resting. Well, he's Golden Frieza as well, but so this is a really nice card that is good. It's a 2 of because of the 0 combo. I would increase it to 3, but Golden Frieza a little better. So here's another Mecha Frieza King Cold I hinted on earlier. Ooh, this one's a nice card. I wish it was a little bit better. You know, I mean, it's a really good card as is, because basically this is what you're using after that first leader skill. I'm not getting down to 2 life with my leader skill. I just can't do it. Unless you know that your opponent doesn't have double strikes, but even then, it's still too dangerous to me. So this card, once I use that leader skill the first time to play out either the 5 or 6 cost Golden Frieza, we're going with the Mecha Frieza King Cold from there, so that on play, if this card's played from life, add the top card of your deck to your life. This is another one. I wish it had 5k combo, because this should be a 4 of in the deck. I just have way too many zeros, so I had to reduce it to 3. So it is a little bit frustrating sometimes when I can't find this card and I just can't use my leader skill for a while. But still a really good card. I mean, it is searchable as a 5 cost with our other searchers. So not bad. Good card. There's not a lot to say about it. You can leave him to block, or you can just start attacking with him the turn after for that extra aggro. Then we've got our Golden Frieza. This is another card. Really nice up there. It's been around for a while. People know about it. So basically 5 or more cost played in rest mode. I want to get this guy out quick too. If I don't play him from life because I played out that Golden Frieza, I'm going to do my best to play him turn 6 and maybe sacrifice a leader skill because it's really nice. And then KOing a rest mode battle card is just key. Not a lot to say there. And Cooler, super combo. Whew, yeah, so this one you need to play this as a super combo. I love it. I mean, I love Cooler a lot. Probably, I'd like to call him my second favorite villain, but definitely my favorite movie villain. You know, you want to play that because it's searchable, so not a lot more to say about that, but that's the deck. And the strategy, strengths, and weaknesses of this deck. Strategy is really just hyper awaken, right? We've got enough cards. Basically all of our 1 and 2 cost cards, aside from our 1 cost searcher, is going to be able to awaken, and almost all of them are going to also be able to add back to life. So use that to your advantage to awaken and stack your life, so that then your next move is to play Golden Frieza from life, either the 5 or 6 cost, depending on your opponent. And if you awaken too early, which can happen as well on turn 3, and maybe you're not ready to play out the Golden Frieza, you can already start playing out the heal one from life as a blocker, and if you're playing him out that early, he's going to stick. And you may be able to just block with him and leave him, and, you know, because you're awakened quickly, so you can block, keep him alive, hopefully, and then go from there, okay? And then from there, we're stunning and healing. You know, playing out Meta-Cooler as much as possible to stun our opponent's battle cards. Healing by playing out the King Cold from life as a blocker and then healing. It's pretty nice. You know, this card, the crazy thing about this deck that I've noticed is, yeah, it's hyper aggro, but because of our blockers that we can play from life, you can actually survive pretty long. It also has decent recovery, right? So in terms of the strengths, like I said, it's aggro but recovery, right? I mean, once we get to 4 and 5 charge, you know, playing out our Mecha Friezas and 4-cost King Colds into the Meta-Coolers is just crazy. We're getting 3 bodies on board, and really 4 bodies, because we're able to get that leader skill, and there's only so long your opponent can deal with that. Like, the one thing, they're a little bit low powered, but I mean, they're at least 25s, so it's going to cost your opponent 1 up and maybe even 2 cards. Eventually it's going to start costing him 2, because we're just hitting them with that aggro. And the recovery's pretty good. I mean, if once we hit that turn 5, we're on turn 6, and you can potentially be playing out that 1-cost Frieza. You could potentially be playing out the 2-cost, and maybe even more if we're still getting these Meta-Coolers on board. That's good. Or the regular 4-cost Cooler that's drawing. Like, we can actually get recovery. I remember one battle, I was down to 3 cards in hand. I didn't need to charge. I threw out a Cooler. I threw out a 1-cost Frieza. And before I know it, I'm back to 7 cards. I'm like, geez. And my opponent's just going down because I'm just hitting. It's a very fast-paced deck, too, because we can really get things going quickly. I mean, it's funny I say that, though, because, you know, I was in a few battles yesterday that went like 18 turns before I finally won. Because sometimes if your opponent can keep up too, it's usually these Omegas that also have good recovery. You know, we can go from there. But other battles, like, depending on the deck, we could just flash through this, right? Weaknesses. It does have a lot of zeros, okay? And the thing about the zeros is that, like, we don't want to be charging them. Like, for some games, like, you only want to see 1 of this card, you know, of that 0, and then you're going to start charging. But, like, for example, with our King Colds, like, we don't want to charge. Like, if I'm 2 in hand, I'm not charging one of them. Once I get to 3, I may charge it, and usually I end up regretting it. So you really got to think about, like, what am I charging? Because there are boss monsters, you know? You're not charging this guy. You need to get him to go to life. If I get to 3 in hand, sure, I might charge him. This guy, honestly, is the, like, odd man out a lot of times, depending on the matchup. I'm either going to charge this guy or this guy when I get multiples, because we're not playing more than 2 of those in a game, okay? More than 2 total, probably 2 each. So those are the ones you want to think about. But, you know, that is something. It is lower powered overall, right? Except for our 6 costs. You know, we're not going over 25k except for that Cooler, so that could be an issue. And we also don't have a lot of removal. Golden Frieza is basically it. We're just trying to stun the board, so sometimes it's like big board versus big board when we're getting mid to late game, and it's like who's a little bit faster. Usually it's this deck, but not always because of our combo power. Some other cards to consider swapping into the deck. The first one is Chilled. Chilled is a card that, like, I really like the card. A 2-cost 20k hitter that lets us play out a 1-cost as well. You know, whether it can be the Mecha Frieza, the Rester, you know, there's all these 1-costs that are really good. I mean, we've got 12 options for ones. The problem is, again, combo power. Like, I just could not keep this card in the deck because I had too many zeros. I just couldn't do it. Okay, so I had to remove it. Now, this Cooler is one that, like, it sounds good on paper. I want to include it. I did do 1 or 2 battles with it in there just to see, and just wasn't playing it out. You know, we just have a lot of better options to play for 1 energy. And being a block, I mean, it's a blocker is nice, but 1 cost is easy to remove. Like, basically, you're going to play this guy out and hope he sticks for a turn so that we could play Cooler for cheaper. We do have, obviously, that new 4-cost Cooler that would be a target for this. If we did put it, we may want to consider the other Cooler, but just doesn't quite fit. I think making a build with this would be nice. You know, maybe kind of a blocker type build would work, and taking away from the aggro, but, you know, we're not going to do that. Another interesting one, too, would be this Vegeta. I am seeing some lists with it. Another one where I tried a couple battles with it and just didn't really see it fitting what I was trying to do. But, I mean, it's one that you should really consider because it can save you in matchups when you've got this giant board that just gets annihilated. So it's a 3-cost 20k 5. Permanent opponent's turn, all your battle cards, all your rest mode battle cards can't be KO'd by opponent's skills. So it can take away a lot of things that just KO your entire board. Like in red, we're seeing people playing It's Over and just annihilating the board. But it's just so niche out there, you know. I mean, sure, they can use things like Final Explosion that this would protect against, or other things, but he's a little bit too slow to me. You know, we're really focusing on those Frieza Clan cards. It is a good turn 3 play. The thing about this card that I think is it's a turn 3 play and then that's it. Like, there's no other time that I'm going to play it, and it's not a card I want to play 4 of. So if I don't see it turn 3, it's just charge. And even turn 3, he's not always my best play. He does let you on play add a card from Life to Hand Awaken and then play a battle card with 1 or less. So he kind of does a lot of what I would need for that. If I'm at 5 life, he awakens me. I could play out Frieza. But then what else am I going to do? I could play the 1-cost Frieza and stack my life, but I probably won't have energy left. So it doesn't work for me. Then this guy's one I always kind of like. You know, I was running this in my old school Frieza deck. I like this card because he's a 10k combo. I don't like him because he's only a 20k attacker for 3. But the when attacking's nice. He's a self-awakener and then rests any card. It is really nice situationally. When I was playing against certain people who don't want their card stunned, so they'll just play out a big boss body and not attack with them so they can go for game next turn. This guy can kind of prevent that because he rests, but we've got the 4-cost Cooler for that now. He rests on play, so we don't necessarily need him despite him being a 10k combo. Just doesn't really fit here. This guy's one I really liked. You know, it was a card I wished that I had during the starter Frieza era. I really wanted a card that can rest for 25k attacker. Now this one only does that on play, but still pretty good. And he does the life stacking, and then choose up to 1 battle card and switch to rest mode. So really cool too. But this one was one I was gonna play 2 of, and just wasn't playing him. So we threw him out there. The secret rare Frieza, you may have noticed my list does not have that. This is another card I cut for it being 0 combo. I'm trying to eliminate less, and he doesn't quite fit with what this deck's trying to do. I just usually don't have the 2 energy to use his when attacking. I just don't have that. So I'm not really playing him out. I mean, if I want to wait and play the long game, but usually your better play is to play out the Meta-Cooler. And honestly, I think that the 4-cost, the regular Cooler is a better play, letting us rest, letting us draw. I like it a little bit more, so I just took him out completely. I had him as a 2 of. If you want to play it as a 2 of, I'm not opposed to it. He does have the barrier, so it's going to help you. He is 30k, you know, another little bit stronger, so think about it. Now, here's the other one that might fit in one of the 2 slots. Gives you another target for your Mecha Frieza. It's a 4-cost, the SR starter deck, King Cold. Nice little blocker, 10k combos, also why I like it. And I like this when KO'd move, right? When you're blocking, choose up to one of your opponent's rest mode battle cards with 4 or less and KO it. I mean, that's pretty good. I think the reason why I'm going with the other restander first is because they may not have a 4 or less, and we may need to block it. I think I like flexibility a little bit more, and this one's just a little bit too specific for me. The final one I have in here is the Earthy Raced. You know, I don't have any extras in this deck. I'm just going full on aggro, but it is good to have the option of not only stacking our life, but also KOing a 5 or less. Something to think about, but on my end, to me, it's another 0/0 combo card. It does cost 2 that I don't always have. Like, a lot of times I can just stun that 5 cost on board, so I did remove this card as well. And that's going to do it for this episode of the Hawks Dragon Ball Nest. Hope you enjoyed this profile of the Golden Frieza deck. I'm having fun. I'm going to keep testing. I mean, regionals are in 2 weeks, and is this deck good enough to take to regionals? I don't know. I may try it. You know, I really like my green Vegeta, but I don't have confidence that I'm going to be able to win. I don't want to win a regional. That's not going to happen. But, you know, getting top, I'd like to top in a regional. So let's see if I can do that. And this deck could do it. I don't think it has too many terrible matchups that aren't winnable, but we'll see. So anyway, if you liked what you saw, make sure you hit that subscribe button and become part of the Hawks Nest, a fearless flock of fabulous folks who love to do what we love. And I am excited for this era. So far online, the matches have been fun. I haven't seen too many of one deck. Obviously, I'm recording this on Saturday, and we're not too far in. We're like maybe, what, 4 days in. So everybody's playing with the new toys. But, you know, I think that the meta is going to be a lot healthier. I think we've got decks that can address those. Cell is still going to be an issue, but I think Boo is going to be gone. And, you know, we're seeing people try with Omega. It's an interesting deck. Frieza's better than expected. Piccolo, I think, is solid. So we'll see how this goes. So anyway, make sure you stay tuned. We're going to have the next video on Golden Frieza this coming Saturday. And then on Thursday, we'll have our online poll. So make sure you stay tuned if you want to see Golden Frieza in action. That'll be coming out Saturday. But until then, we'll see you next time.